All right, and we'll go ahead and get started. We'll start with some introductions of the Midwest Tribal ECHO team. Dr. Ravi.
Yes, hi, my name is Kari Ravi. I'm a family practice and addiction medicine physician, and I've been here at NACC since about 2012. Thank you all for joining us today.
Miigwech and Nikki.
I'm Nikki Jardina. I'm a public health nurse. I'm the syndemic nursing supervisor at NACC.
Miigwech, and I'm Lindsay King-Cooney. I'm the harm reduction program supervisor and also facilitate this Midwest Tribal ECHO. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. All right, so welcome again. This is the Midwest Tribal ECHO Opioid Use Disorder Education and Treatment Series. Today, we are excited to welcome Izzy McLaughlin from the Red Door Clinic, and she's going to be talking to us about joy and harm reduction. So a little bit about NACC, if you're not familiar, we are an FQHC located in the heart of the South Minneapolis Urban Indigenous community on Franklin Avenue. This is a list of all of our services that we provide, and then down at the bottom is our website. So feel free to go to our website and you can learn more about us. This is a list of current openings at NACC. So again, our website is down at the bottom. You can go to the jobs section and read more about jobs that we have to offer. And then again, some session guidelines. Please no protected health information. If you could keep yourselves muted. We love to see your faces, so if you're willing and able to turn on your cameras, please do. And then if you can just let us know who you are in the chat, and then I can make sure to get any information out to you after this session. Then this is a list of other ECHOs that we recommend that cover similar topics on opioid use disorder and infectious disease. Just some announcements. So we do meet the first and third Wednesday of every month from noon to 1 p.m. We have our next session June 4th, and it's going to be the Wilder Foundation talking about their Minnesota homeless study. And then finally, case presentations, they make for great discussion. We always welcome them. My website's on this slide, not my website. I'm not that important. My email. So feel free to email me if you have a case presentation to offer. All right, and then I think I am going to hand it over to Izzy. Welcome, Izzy. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. This feels so exciting. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I think this is going to be really fun. I'm not going to talk too long because I don't want to keep everyone here for like the whole lunch hour. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think we're going to have a good time. So you can switch the slide. We're talking about joy and harm reduction, and I wanted to first introduce myself. My name's Izzy. I'm a social worker. I work at the Red Door Clinic in downtown Minneapolis. We are within like Hennepin County, so we're a county public health clinic. I help run our syringe services program. So we have a walk-in program where people can come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and get safe use supplies. We also give out basic needs supplies. We have an MOUD program. We've got NPs and RNs. We do wound care, foot care. We've got Suboxone. It's great. We have a great time. Lots of love and laughs and snacks and just like good stuff. So currently I'm a social worker, like I said. I used to be a teacher. I worked with kids for a really long time. I did mostly special education and behavioral type of stuff. And it was honestly a very joyful place to be. And so I think that's part of where my love of incorporating joy comes from, because when you're around kids, there's just like a lot of joy to be had in a lot of little moments. And as you can see, in addition to being a social worker, a teacher, I got an award in first grade for being the most cheerful one in my class. And so I don't think I'm necessarily an expert on joy, but I do feel like all of those things combined kind of make me at least semi-qualified to talk about it. You can switch the slide. Thank you. Okay, my slides are super duper minimal. I don't like to have a lot to read on slides usually. I just want to invite you to take what lands, leave what doesn't. I'm just kind of going to like talk and muse at you a little bit, like present some ideas. There'll be a couple opportunities for very low effort, low stakes interaction. No one has to unmute. You don't have to talk. It won't even be connected to your name. And if you don't want to do that, you just hang and listen. Take what lands, leave what doesn't. So the first time that I did this presentation, it was at an MDH like event for people who got harm reduction grants. And I presented my pitch initially, and I just said, like, someone should talk about joy as a harm reduction strategy. And I was just talking to my coworker. And then I kind of didn't realize I was making a pitch until I kind of got myself into it. And then I agreed to do it. So I am the one talking about this thing that I wish other people would talk about. So over the course of like coming up with the presentation, I was really trying to figure out, like, do I come up with like a list of strategies to give people about this is how you incorporate joy, like have this or do this. But as I kind of thought about joy in this work and in my life and tried to be more intentional and notice how joy fits in, it kind of came to the realization that it's not so much about joy being a strategy, but joy is like integral to harm reduction work. I don't think that it can be separated from the heart of what we do, the philosophy of this work. I think we can't have harm reduction work without it. And I'm going to tell you why. You can switch the slide. So joy, I think for a lot of us feels very elusive. Most of us are face-to-face every day with all of the harms that are caused by oppressive systems. And in our roles as harm reductionists, we're often welcoming people into our spaces and into our lives and our hearts that are at the fringes of a lot of society, who have been shunned by systems and discarded by systems, and whose needs have often been neglected because of stigmatized behaviors or stigmatized coping skills or identities or diagnoses. We are building relationships with people that are being impacted the most by failing systems. And so we have a front row seat to watching the fallout of all of this in real time. And that is really, really, really hard. Being in the midst of so much hurt, it hurts. Like that hurts us. And originally when I put this together, I really didn't know what I was going to say because I didn't feel authentically very joyful at the time. It's been really hard in this like political climate to find any joy. A lot of the programs that I think we all love and work in are facing really uncertain futures because of budgets, and our friends and our colleagues are losing their jobs, and the work that we love to do is being threatened. It feels like every single day. And even worse than all of that, there's all of these people that we love so much, and their fates feel like they're hanging in the balance. And it feels like everyone's falling through the cracks, and it's really overwhelming. And it's easy to feel really overwhelmed and helpless and paralyzed. Trying to help in a system that feels really determined to keep us from helping is exhausting and hard. And, you know, where is there joy in that? I was really having a hard time trying to figure that out. And I know that none of that is new to any of you, but I wanted to give you a little intro about where I'm coming from before I tell you all of the things I've been thinking about. And I'm going to give you your first offer of a little bit of interaction if you want. In the chat, I'm going to throw in a Google Doc. And if you click on it, it'll open and you should be able to edit it, but everyone will show up as an anonymous animal. This is just a thing Google does that I learned about recently. And there's just like, we have a moose in there, we have a capybara. And you can just like throw something in there. Look at these questions. What's your relationship to joy? What questions do you have about joy? You can put words, sentences. I'll just give you a couple minutes to just muse on it. Think about it for a minute. I love reading all these. This is so fun for me. I'll leave it for like 30 more seconds. Oh my God, you guys, I love these. I'm going to read a couple of them. I can't read all of them because there's too many. The first question was, what is your relationship to joy? Just like get the thoughts flowing. Someone said, we need it to do what we do. It helps keep the days manageable. I totally agree. Sometimes very hard to access. Helps to be around others to make joy happen. I love it. Family can be very joyful. Joy is a muscle. I totally agree. Try to find it in the mundane things. These are, oh my gosh, these are beautiful. The second question was, what questions do you have about joy? How do we cultivate authentic joy during times like these? That is a great question. And I think hopefully we'll touch on it a little bit today. How much joy is normal? Oh, that's a very good question. If we want to have joy in our work and employment, we need employers who contribute to that through fair policies, pay, and benefits. Yeah, it's all systemic. It is all systemic. Why isn't joy more of a priority? Oh my gosh, these are great. What I really like about these Google Docs is that they're like just available forever. So like if you ever want to look at it again, it'll just like be there. It's like a little living document if you want to think about some of these things. Oh, how do you experience joy when it seems far away? Another really, really good question that hopefully we touch on. All right, let's go to the next slide. I think we're ready. Thank you guys for doing that. So recently I was reading a book that I really love. It's called We Want to Do More Than Survive by Bettina L. Love. It's a book that talks about the state of public education in the United States. It was written, I think, in like 2020. It is not the most joyful thing that I've ever read, I'm going to be honest with you, but it's very good if you're interested in the education system. I really like the title. We want to do more than survive. I think, it's relevant for this work. It's relevant for just life in general in these times. But as I was paging through it this most recent time, I came across this quote that I put up on the screen. It says, finding joy in the midst of pain and trauma is the fight to be fully human. And oh my God, that is one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever read in my life. And I think my favorite thing about framing it like this is that it acknowledges we live in a world that often doesn't want us to be whole, doesn't want us to be fully human. We're told that we need to comply. We're at the mercy of large systems that they want control and they want compliance and they want us to do those things quietly. We're often pressured to be the most acceptable versions of ourselves when we're around other people. And we're taught to deny ourselves things that make us feel good, that bring us joy. The values of this system are like control above all else, and indulgence and expression are directly in contradiction to systems of control. There are a lot of spoken guidelines, unspoken guidelines about what we should be proud of, what should we not be proud of, what should we feel shameful about. And there's a lot of shame wrapped up in feeling joy because it's seen as like very selfish. It's seen as useless. It's like, there's work to do. What are you doing being so unserious about all of this? I think a lot of us feel a lot of shame for indulging in things that make us feel good, like smoking cigarettes, watching TV, calling in sick to work when you're not actually sick because you just want to like lay in bed all day, eating things that we're told we should feel shameful about eating. And these are all things that make us feel good and are soothing to us in our nervous systems. But we're taught to feel really shameful about those things. I also think this happens a lot with our feelings. You know, can you think of a time when you set your own feelings aside because you didn't want it to be too much, you didn't want to take up too much space, you didn't want it to be inappropriate? It's all of these like systemic structures of like control. And within these structures, there's not a lot of room to be our full, messy human selves. Being in touch with our joy, which is like recognizing the things that make us feel good instead of only the things that make us feel bad, disrupts systems because instead of being disconnected, we stay whole, we stay intact, we stay connected, and we are our whole selves. In these systems that are so set on denying us our full humanity, the harm reduction values that we have call us to hold very tightly to our wholeness. And I know that every person here knows that what we do is about more than just handing out supplies. We hand out supplies, we provide medicine and safe use supplies and all of those things. And that can be very joyful in and of itself, but it wouldn't be harm reduction if we didn't have the relationships and the messiness and the feelings and the wholeness. And in systems letting people fall through the cracks, we are all here, we're just trying to catch them. We work really hard, I think, to create little containers of safety for people to show up and be human, no matter how embarrassed or ashamed or scared or exhausted or angry they are. We tell them, I see you and I want you here, and whatever you are carrying with you, that is welcome here too. We want it all. We want you to be whole. And so what I realized when I was going through all of this and thinking about joy is that in work that is built upon recognizing each other as whole, complex humans that are multifaceted, and creating space and safety for that, part of that work is seeing ourselves in that exact same way and creating space for ourselves to be our full, messy, human, complicated selves. And that's really hard. You can switch the slide. Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, in my experience, all harm reductionists are very skilled at holding space for hurt and sadness and all of the hard things that come with being alive and being a human. It would be much easier for me to stand here and talk about trauma literally all day. I could do it all day. I wouldn't even have to think about it. But making space for joy, at least to me, feels way, way, way harder. And for me, that comes from a place of like guilt. Like I feel guilty sometimes for feeling joyful because when I'm surrounded all day by people who are being denied like their basic human rights, their survival, how can I let myself feel joy in that? That doesn't feel just or right to me. I get caught in this trap I'm sure you've been caught in this trap too. I think it happens to all of us. And it seems like a very noble effort when you're doing it. Like, I'm just going to be in the bad stuff all the time. But it has always left me feeling more exhausted and empty than righteous and fulfilled. What I've learned about joy is that it doesn't happen separately from hardship. It actually happens in the midst of all of it. Feeling joy doesn't mean being disconnected from all of the things that make us sad or make us overwhelmed or anxious. Because if we detach from those feelings, that also doesn't bring us closer to wholeness. All of these have to be true at the same time. In the words of Brene Brown, who I really love, she says, if we numb the dark, we also numb the light. Our capacity to feel hurt really deeply is proof that we can feel joy with that same depth and like intensity and fervor. They're not actually separate things. They're two sides of the same coin. It's all wholeness. And if we can let joy land in us and take root, that's how we keep going. That's how we have a foundation to do what we do sustainably. And if harm reduction work is work towards wholeness, then if I'm denying myself or anyone else joy, then I'm robbing all of us of our ability to show up as our whole selves. And when we show up authentically and as our full selves, we give other people permission to do that. And that's harm reduction. We strengthen connections because that it combats loneliness and isolation. And then we all have better outcomes across the board when we can do this. And because I'm a mental health professional, I have to make sure that I say all of our brains, they're like wired for threats. They're wired to like be really intensely focused on things that might threaten our safety or someone else's safety or be dangerous. So of course, it's really, really easy to focus on things that are hard. And that is just an argument in favor of really intentionally noticing our joy. Hardship and injustice are very loud a lot of times, and we need to be in touch with the sometimes very quiet part of ourselves where our joy lives to keep us going and keep us moving forward. I'm going to invite you again into another Google Doc with some more questions. My coworkers were in this one earlier and they were writing some silly things. So I'm going to put this one in the chat and give you a couple minutes. I like seeing what animals there are. We have like another minute. I'm going to read some of them. I can't read all of them. The first question, are you comfy? I say comfy instead of comfortable. Are you comfortable? Are you comfy with joy? Some yes, some absolutely. Some like kind of maybe. Some feelings of guilt. Depends. Can be scary to think about like another shoe dropping. I think that happens to me. I'm always like, maybe I feel good right now, but when is like the next horrible thing going to happen? And that's like, it's really hard to be present when you feel like that. Oh yeah, I love these. And then what blocks you from your joy? I think it's very interesting that it seems like it was way easier for people to answer that one. Mental health, getting stuck in other issues, trying not to diminish the sad and the pain and the grief. Yeah, totally. Toddler, so real. So real. I did toddler school for a long time, and it can be very hard. Care demands, overthinking. Yeah. So we're all coming to this. We're like a mix of experiences. Well, we're gonna go to the next slide, and I'm gonna give you some really good news. This is my favorite news. Joy does not need to be chased. It only needs to be noticed, right? So we want to show up here as our like fully human selves, because we're gonna challenge harmful systems. We're gonna combat loneliness. We're gonna combat isolations. We're gonna heal our hearts and help other people heal theirs. We're gonna sustain our work. How do we do it? I'm not going to give you a big long list of things to do, because I know that you, like me, are extremely busy and you don't want more things to do. But I'm just going to offer you this what I've put up on the screen with the little butterflies. Joy doesn't need to be chased. It only needs to be noticed. And my favorite thing about noticing, I talk to people about this a lot, is that once you notice something, you can't unnotice it. Once it's there, it's kind of always there, even if it's not at the forefront. And a lot of the practice of learning to notice the joy that's around us starts with, I think, reflective questions. I have a list of questions I'm going to show you that when I was working on this, I took these questions and I kind of like planted them in my brain and just like waited to see what might take root. So we can go to the next slide and look at the questions. I love this little guy. I just love him. Look at his heart. These are the questions that came up for me. What brings you closer to your joy? How can you turn your attention, just even if it's just a little bit, towards your joy? And this is my favorite question. How can you widen your scope to include the hurt and the joy? I think I always use my hands to like show this analogy. I think we get really laser focused sometimes on all of the hard, overwhelming stuff. And if we can just open up our view just a little bit, there's sometimes this joy existing around there too. We just need to be able to find the space to notice it and connect with it. I'm going to do like a little kind of like share some examples to help you understand how I've been using this a little bit. So my workday, like I said, consists of, I see people on a walk-in basis in our syringe services program. And we have been seeing an astronomical number of mental health crises. It is all day. It is every day. It is relentless. It is nonstop. And the lack of resources and the lack of support crushes my soul. It's really hard. So a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, while I was working on this, I found myself in the middle of the day, like, 10, 12 clients deep. And I was like teetering right on the edge of falling completely into hopelessness. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing that I'm going to go tell a bunch of other people to do. And I'm going to ask myself these questions. So I asked myself, what brings me closer to joy? How can I get a little more connected with it? And for me, the answer to that is always people. I love being around people. I love connecting with them. So I was like, okay, I'm going to meet with the next person and I'm going to really focus on feeling joyful in our connection and making that connection feel really good. So as I was meeting with them, when my mind started getting wildly out of control and I was thinking about all of the things that I couldn't do, I tried to bring myself back to, at least I'm here. What I can do is I can be here and we can find commonality and connection here. And that's something. And there is joy in that. I can listen. I can be kind. I can be compassionate. I can acknowledge all of the things that we're up against, but I don't have to get lost in it. you know, I can see both and I can feel both. Yeah, when I widen my scope, I can realize that I'm not alone. And sometimes just not being alone in it, like that brings me joy. You can go to the next slide. It's going to be this. It looks the same as the last one, but I like it, so I want it to be up there again. And just yesterday, as I was like getting prepped for this, I got really swept away in a moment of joy in a very tough situation, and I was like, what a perfect thing to bring into the space. So like I mentioned earlier, we're meeting a lot of people deep in mental health crises. And in our population, that's showing up as a lot of different experiences with reality, a lot of seeing visions, hearing voices, and like a lot of paranoia. I imagine that most of you have been like spent time with people experiencing intense paranoia, but if you haven't, and even if you have, I would like to emphasize how challenging it can be. Not because it's like they're doing anything wrong or like it's dangerous or it's scary. It's just like, it's really hard to watch someone feel like that and not really be able to do anything. And there's a person in particular that we have known for a long time who sees us, who has struggled with a lot of these things, voices, visions, like intense anxiety. And it's been a really challenging season for this person. And they've been working really hard to advocate for themselves, and the system just continues to fail them like over and over and over again, no matter how hard they try to get the help that they want and need. So we as a team have really like stepped up to try and fill some of those gaps and like make some of those connections. And at times it has been all hands on deck. It's a lot. We're risk assessing, we're making appointments, we're getting cabs, we're risk assessing again, we're holding space, we're safety planning, we're doing more risk assessing, we're being gracious, we're trying to be patient and kind and calm and not get swept away in it. And we were finally able to connect this person with care that felt safe and accessible to them yesterday. And it felt really huge. So I got a car for them, and we were waiting for the car to bring them to their appointment. And this person and I were standing in our entryway, and it was pouring rain, and they were all wet from living outside. And, you know, it was just, there's a lot going on. It was tough. And in a very touching moment of vulnerability, this person said, you know, I don't know where I would be without you guys. And if I couldn't come here, I think that I would just be like lost out there in the world by myself. And I was like, we're so happy to have you. Like, that's like, thank you for saying that. We will always be here to help you, and we will help you just like we believe everyone deserves this kind of support. Like we got you. And then this person is not like a really like a lovey-dovey person. And they said, they like wouldn't even look at me, and they were like, you know, I really love you. And I was like, I'll cry saying it. They were like, I really love you. And I was like, I love you. And literally that moment was like, it carried me through the whole rest of my day. There have been many days and nights and afternoons and weekends that I worry about this person, a lot of people that I know. And we work really hard to support them and like advocate for them. And we've sat with them while they're in like the worst situations that you can imagine. And a lot of times we have no solutions. There's nothing we can do. And on most days, it feels like literally nothing is getting better. And I can't say for certain if yesterday anything changed in like a new way or an extraordinary way, but I can say very certainly that we got to experience a moment of presence and joy with each other yesterday. And it was a moment where we got to feel a lot of like gratitude and acknowledgement for everything that we've been through. And I think like hope for the future, hope for what we might be able to do next, and like what good might come next. And it literally carried me. And then I went and I cried because it was so touching. And then I went and I told my whole team about it, and we all like had a moment of joy together. And it was really, really, really special. And it just reminded me that like even on days that are so hard, I can feel joy when I get to be with other people in it. We're like in the struggle together. It reminded me that I can also like take pauses to acknowledge that I'm lucky enough to get to like see people and be seen by people and be with them. Yeah, it was really special, and I really loved it, and I will remember it for the rest of my life. I feel like I might be missing a page. That's okay. I think we can go, let's do our last little questions that I have. I'm going to put one more of these things in the chat. Give it like one more minute. I'm going to read some of them. My joy is helpful. Yeah. My joy is complicated. Agreed. My joy is growth and sobriety. It's helpful. Oh, the relationships that I choose. I like that one. I can connect with my joy today by choosing joy, taking moments of pause, having gratitude, being grateful for the people in my circle. I'm going to find joy today by taking a break and sitting down quietly in the midst of all of the busyness. And I also am a big advocate for cultivating joy by being silly and being goofy and joking and having those moments of just like silly, joyful connection, like just because we can. Yeah, there's a lot of joy. And I also think I like to acknowledge that there is joy in drug use. There is joy in sex work. There's joy in all of these things that people are experiencing and doing and going through. And I think it's good to acknowledge that too. That sometimes it's hard, but also sometimes it's fun. And like everybody deserves to be able to acknowledge and feel that. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. above all, as I was doing this and thinking about joy, my biggest takeaway was that I can be present with the complexity of your humanness. And in that, I can recognize my own too. It's about all of us being whole and all of us being in this together. And the joy is here. It deserves to be noticed. We deserve to be our full, whole selves. And yeah, you can go to the next slide. I think it's the last one. I know I'm gonna finish up. I have like 1 more minute. I just wanted to say that we're all working together, I think, to try and make this world better. And the better world that we're making is not going to be worth having if we cannot be there to enjoy it fully. So try to make space for things that fill you up and help you feel joyful, because you all deserve to be fully human. And we want you here as that like fully human version of yourself. And you can go to the last slide. It's just my little, that's my little, I don't know. He doesn't have a name. He's just a little guy. And he loves people who use drugs. And that's my email. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. You can unmute. You can email me. You can like send them out into the universe with your mind, and I will try to catch them. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to stop sharing and see if anyone has any comments. Got a lot of thank yous in the chat.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Thank you.
And I know I said this before, but I just want you to know your illustrations bring me joy.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
honestly, I love, this is the first time I've ever like drawn my own slides, and it's like my favorite thing I maybe have ever done. So it's what I'm going to do forever now. Thanks, Anjali. Anjali's right across the hall from me right now. And those documents, if you care to ever look at them again, you can save the links. I don't know, maybe someone can send you the links. They will just like exist in the internet ether forever.
Yeah, I can definitely, I'll email out, if it's okay to email your slides, I can email the links too.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Izzy. Thanks everyone for being here. Next session is going to be June 4th, so please join us again, and everyone have a good day. Thank you.